ahead a little bit. Help me. We were on Ayin Dalet, I think. Let me see, our Ayin Zion. Ah, there it is. Page Ayin Zion, and we're at the bottom, and we'll go to the top of the left column. It says, he says, V'oz hey, the oz hey, shehi malchus. Hey na oz hey al yonu shal malchus the atak yomim. So here we're talking about the origins of the concept of letters. So he says that there's actually in atak yomim, in its malchus, there's a hey there. So how does that work? Shal malchus atak yomim hamislavesh b'chotin de Erich Anpin, which winds up in the nose of Erich Anpin. So he said, "Hein ha'oz hey shalom malchus the zer anpin," and then this is the same hey that comes through to the malchus of zer anpin. Klal of the kul vadai. So there's a hu klal hakol. This is the general klal. Bakol safek below safek. Ki hein kolala kolelas as kol oris el yonim. That's the nature of malchus, that they are kolel. The shoel im malchus the atik malchus the zer anpin shavim, if they're equal. Kishnehum kolalim hakol, because it's their nature, their base kibble. He says im came ma bein hey lehay. So then what's the difference between the two of them? Ma hefesh yesh bein hey el yonish shal malchus the atik yomim los hey tachtona shal malchus the zer anpin. Meshiv, and he answers like this: hey the hocha Dina is ita armina. Oz hey shal malchus the zer anpin. That one. Misorder this b'mana dinim. This is the misordering. He says that this is where the dinim are ultimately arranged. Aroused. So we know that it was also said by Bina is dinim and misorder, but I think he means towards us. Ki binyan v'shorish malchus hu mahagvuros, because malchus made out of gevura. But here we're talking about a different situation. It's real, total, and complete mercy, kindness, all the good things in the world. Let me see, 1 second. There we go. The Kabbalah Shefach of the Mishneh Mazlos Elo HaNikroyim Mazal. Have I got the right place? So he says we're talking about the hay up above, the hay down below, and now we're talking about the histaklus, mistaklim, mitzafim, the kabel shefet, mishnei mazlo. So this is what's up above, down below, wants to receive that shefet that's coming out of the mazlos. Behind mazlo, mazel. Tal yechai, that's where this is the place that all life depends on. The kula, mizon the kula, the tulim, mizon, yeah, the kula. The Taluyim Hachayim Shal Hakol, Vahamazon Shal Hakol, Kamosha Abba B'nei Chai, like the children of life, Mazoni and sustenance, but Mazla Talia Milsas. It's a quote. So it all depends on the Mazel. So there it's the Pashta theme, they're talking about Parnasa. So he said, behind Mazel Talia Shmai Va'ara, but actually it's much greater. The whole reality is really depends on the mazel. Gishmin the ravo. So he says these are rains of agam altaluya b'gishmin ratzon, so that the kind of rain that you need comes through. I guess the blessing of water, which always comes in a nice gentle way. Behind mazla. Eshgachusa the kula, but in this mazel you have the supervision of everything down below, and the bezechem the mazel, who hashgachus are called the hatzil lahoshia, and its ability is to save and to save. Ki bo talui the shua of hatzala, because in this the mazels all salvation depends on them. Behind mazel talion kol chaylin eloyim v'satoyim, all the hosts of heaven and down below. He says of the Hamazel Tolui Holedis called Savos El Yonim, the birth of all of the agency of the spiritual world, Vatachtonim in our world, Shehim Hamalachim V'Haneshamos. So he says above and below he refers to Neshamos, actually it comes into us, and Malachim, which are a higher level. So he says Shlosh also Tikuni Dikna. So there are 13 different Tikunim of the Dikna. Shehem Klaus Aser Nevihim de Mishka de Rubu Satava. Shlosha Aser Tzinoras Hanovim Oros Muchas Dimos. So there are 13 different channels. They're looking at the beard now from this point of view, from which the Muchas Dimos is able to funnel out reality or life to the rest of the world. Shehem Bechinas, where are we here? Bechinas Shemen Chashav V'tov. It's an aspect, we call it like a beautiful, beautiful oil. He said, "Chatalium bedikna the Mazal of Erich Anpin the Haim Taluya v'Nechlalim Kulam." So all of these are incorporated. Be'elu Shnei Tikuni Dikna, in these two Tikunim of the Dikna, which is Notzer Chesed and Venake. They all come into them, and they cry a Mazal, and that's called the Mazal. The Mazal is the flow into them. V'kulhu Nafkin l'Zer Anpin. All of this then ultimately winds up going to Zer Anpin. And shine the dikna of Zer Anpin onto, or to the dikna of Zer Anpin, be'es ratzon, at the time that's acceptable time for that. So he says, Al Tomar she Tamid Meirim Kol HaShlosha Asa Oros Tikuni Dikna Zer Anpin. Now just 1 second. He says, don't say that all 13 always shine onto Zer Anpin. Even if it's a time when the doors are not open, so to speak. Ella, rather, Emesu, the truth is, Rak Tisha Benaihu, there's only 9 of them that shine down onto Zer Anpin. Teisha Tikuni Dikna Shel Erich Anpin, Shehem Tikun Hanikra V'Rav Chesed. So he says, this is a little bit hard for me. Rav Chesed is number 8. Number 8, and if you count 8 down to 13, I think it's 5 or 6, depending on how you count it, but it's not 9. So he says, let me read that again. Ha'emesu kirak tisha minaihu, only 9 of the attributes of Erich Anpin, of the beard of Erich Anpin, shine onto Zer Anpin. Tisha chatikuni dikna shel Erich Anpin, shehem mitikun nikra Rav Chesed, which is number 8. Lamata, going down, huh?
Number 6.
Okay, which is number 6?
Chesed is number 6.
Oh, really? Oh, that's my mistake. Which is number 8?
Notzer.
Huh?
Notzer is 8.
No, okay, good. All right, I'm really sorry about that. Okay, so let's go back, so that straightened that out for me. Eloha emesu ki rak teisha minaihu. So this number 6 down to number 13, which will get you there, I guess. Teisha tikuni dikna shel Erich Anpin shehem tikun anikra Rav Chesed, which is the 6th one, which is the I guess the storage of Chesed of a lamata. Mishtatchan bezer Anpin. These are the ones that are found by Zer Anpin. Heim hameirim but Tamidus. This is what's constantly shining, the Teisha tikuni dikna the Zer Anpin. That's what's always shining there. And what are they shining for? In order to be able to beat down the dinim that are in the beard of Zer Anpin, b'shorshim, at their root. Now, let's see. Ak be'es ratzon az me'irim kolcha shlosha az tikuni dikna shal Erich Anpin, the dikna the Zer Anpin. So it is that, in fact, they do shine onto all 13 of Zer Anpin. Behind a bit, the fetus be'es amiris shlosh esrei midas shal rachamim. When you're in a davening that has those 13 midas of rachamim, oz the service you make tshuva, are during that period of time where we're during that period of time. V'kad haim mazla v'kasher shnei tikuni dikna notzer chesed. This one here, notzer chesed and v'nake. He says nekroyim mazel talia b'shikula, which are called mazel, but mazel is we're supposed to understand mazel as a singular word. Talia b'shikula aim tuluyim b'shulasha b'meshkal v'orech shava. So they're all hanging down in the same size, same length, etc. Tibura, and they hang down until they reach the Tibura of Yordan, Tibur Halev, until they get to the middle of Tiferes, Shuhat Chetzis, Spheres of Tiferes, Shel Erich Anpin. Oz call Kedushim call Hamochin, the Abba Ve'im, and now we see that all of the Mochim that are coming from Abba Ve'im, Hanikra Kaddish Kedashim, he says that when you say Kaddish Kedashim, you're talking about Abba Ve'ima, the Kedusha. Of V'gam Hamochin, the Zer Anpin, V'nikra Gam came Kadosh, but they're called by singular, they're one, Kadosh. Be Talia, that is, Haim Taluyim, Bi'aridis and Mazal are the Tibor. So all of this light that's coming from Zer Anpin, coming to Zer Anpin, and coming to Abba Ve'ima, all of it really depends on this beard of Erich Anpin, which goes down to the middle of Tiferes. He says, behind Mazal, this Mazal, babe, Bezer Mazal is B'Pasha Peshituta, the Kutra Ilor. So spreads out this Kutra Ilor. So let's find out what the Kutra, Mispasha V'Yorad his Pashtos Hakitor. So what does he say? This Kitor. So he says the word Kitor, which sounds like a Taurus to me, he says it means Avir. So he says Avir. So I'm translating the word Avir right now as the word atmosphere. So try atmosphere. It's Mishavar of V'Yorad and Mispashtot V'Hakita, and the atmosphere of Elyon comes downwards. Shu ha'avir hayotze, and I have the word accessed instead of goes out from. Shu ha'or hayotze mezikuk v'akrum shebagulgalto the Erich Anpin. So I reason that it's because of the fact of the refinement of the crust that's around the skull of Erich Anpin. His pashtos ha'avir hu hazen ases, and this causes ayidei ha'aras ahu reisha, the coloration, because of the ultimate light, the shining of the highest, most penimis dika head. Osa harosh the coloration, which is that shu harosh atek yomim, known as also the low isya, that it's not known. She'edach nodav musav, there's no, we really don't know what it's made out of. Or musav oro alfilo, the parts of Erich Anpin not even reachable by Erich Anpin, v'lo ish the maida v'af la'atek yomim, it's ha'atzma, even yomim atek yomim himself. Ein neida musaka or ein sof baruchu amislavish bo, which is inside of him. V'lo yad in Elohim v'satayim v'kol shekein she'ein neida musaka lepartzufi abba v'im b'rayin. So we talk about the upper partsufim, of which is the Abba Ve'im called Chochma, really, which is Abba Ve'im Elyonim. The partsufi Zer Anpin, and the other partsufim is Zer Anpin and Tachtonim, which are considered to be lower. So now he's giving also us a little bit of a framework. Abba Ve'im, you're going to call them Elyonim, the partsufi Zer Anpin, V'nukva, they're going to be called the Tachtonim. Behind the key, high ratio, the low isya, because this head, this unknowable head, he says, Heyer Barosh Erich Anpin shines on to the head of Erich Anpin. And from the shining of that head onto the head of Zer Anpin, we don't even know what it is. We can characterize it. It causes mispashtas, the avir, this atmosphere that comes off of the head. And explains like this: begin kach. And the koyach is pashtus or hazef, so the power of this is pashtus. But Mazal shel Erich Anpin kula behind Mazal Talia. That's the reason why we say hakol taluyim bezeh Mazal. Everything really depends on this Mazal, because ultimately it goes into Erich Anpin. I'm thinking that's what he means. Now I'm sure. Let me just look at that one more time. We have a little bit of time. He says from V'lo yadin Elohim v'satayim, v'kol shechein she'eina noida, that is, we're talking about the ratio of the lo isyada. So she'eina noida u'musak l'partzufi abba v'ima v'elyoina v'partzufi Zer Anpin v'tachtoina. We're calling about that tremendous light that's coming, unknowable light. V'hainu ki high ratio the lo isyada, Heyer Barosh Erich Anpin, it shines onto the head of Erich Anpin, Ubukokul Nimshach Medispashri Bemenu Ha'avi Hazeh. So from the fact that it's shining, he says Barosh, onto the head, that's what I see it, onto the head, into the head, maybe that's better. Into the head of Erich Anpin, Begin kach, because of shining into Erich Anpin like that. V'koach is pashtos ha'avir hazecha b'mazal shel Erich Anpin, and it winds up going through Erich Anpin into his beard. Kulo behind Mazal Talia. So therefore, ultimately, it winds up this shefa that's coming from the Reisha de Lo Isida is ultimately winding up in these two mazals. The reason why I made a mistake is because I'm always thinking that the mazlos are, we're talking about 8 and 13. So here we're not talking about this, a different vort. He says, B'dikna da, so now in this beard, B'zecha dikna shal Erich Anpin, Talas Reishin the Amina, and so he said there are three heads of faith. So he says, Osam Ashlosha Roshim Sha'amarno, these three heads. So he says, let's go, Shehem Reishadol Isida, V'Gulgalta, the Erich Anpin, Umuchus Dimor. These are the three heads that we want to talk about. So we just had a vort, is how it is that the Reishad Lo Isida is shining into the Erich Anpin, etc. Mispashtim, Kula Mispashtim, Ume'ir, so all they spread. And they shine, they continue to shine. V'kulchu v'kol elu oiris. Shlosha Roshim, Mispashtim, Bedikna. And they wind up going through Erich Anpin's head to his beard, etc. Mischavrem b'hai mazla. Mischavrem b'shnei tikuni dikna, notzer chesed, and Venake. So they wind up in these two places and they congregate there. And they cry Mazal. So they are called together the concept of Mazal. He says, that's where you can find him. Ki ha-mazal kolo bo as called oris adikna. So he said, because the Mazal itself is somehow this Notzer Chesed, which is, okay, just to say not somehow, but the Notzer Chesed is a collector of this flow from up above. Again, kach, v'hovil shekachu, since that's the case, and he also says number 13, of course, shekal elu ha'oros kolulim b'mazel, so since all of these lights collect themselves into this mazel, kol yakira dikiruso, kol hayakar, should be yakarim, so all of the glory of glories. Now, this interesting word, so the shame, kol hamokim shal abba v'iva, that is the mochem, that are in Abba Ve'ima, V'zer Anpin, V'nukva, Shehem Yakar, the Erich. So one of us called Yakar, the Yakira, and the other one is Yakar. That's called Yakar. They're the lower parts behind Mazal Talia. So whatever they're going to have in their existence that's going to give them life is going to be depending on this sixth Mazal. Kulam Taluya V'nimshaka Bezecha Mazal. This Mazal behind the Tikkunia Notzer Chesed. And then he says, but also, so this is my confusion. He's talking Notzer Chesed and Venake as one mazel. That's the basis of a little bit of confusion in language, because when we talk about the mazels, I'm always thinking it's 8 and 13. Here he's saying that one mazel, that seems to be what he's saying, so I'm trying to understand it, is one mazel is 6 and 13. They go together because they're both the base kibble for the oros from up above them. So then going on, he says, Kol elu asvan talyam behind etika. Kol elu ha'osia shal shem chavaya hataluyas beremez ba'atika kadesha. So all of the letters that we have a hint to their origin in Erich Anpin, Shu Erich Anpin, Moshe Armano Lamalak was set up above. The Haino Osias Yaakov. Let's talk about them. Hataluyas b'muchas dimor. This is energy, pure energy, these three letters that are coming out of the Mochus Dimah. And then you have the Os Hey, Achrona, Tataluya B'chaytim Shalom. So now he's like giving us portals from which these things go out. Just so for myself, a Kamosha, Marna Lamala, behind the Osias Yaakov, these three letters, which is Chachma Bin Das, Hataluya B'Mochus Dimah, because we said that there were three parts of the Mochus Dimah. I guess he said like that, which it has a Chachma Bin Das. That's where these three letters come out from. Or this is the root of these three letters. V'os Hey Achron, that's in the nose. He says also maybe it's in the mouth. It depends on Rabbi Yebet Saba. We saw that yesterday. Kuhu Talia behind Dikna. Everything that's going to come out of this all depends on this beard. Kulan Taluyas Beremez, Bishlosha Asa Tikuni Dikna. They're all the wicked. There's a hint of this coming out through the beard. Ki heim yordos v'nimshachos me'Erich Anpin, because they come out of Erich Anpin, mispashna bedikna to Erich Anpin, and they go into the beard of Erich Anpin, which he's saying it's like there's two different things. So he says, Mazal. Mischavrim kol osios v'dechlala b'zechem b'mazel. So then all these three letters, he's talking about what? This Yaakov that's coming out of the Mochus Nimo. Mizbarchim kol osios v'dechlala b'zechem b'mazel. So they're all mischavrim, they're joined together and they get called, all included there. Behind the Tikkuni Notzer Chesed Vanake. So those two that we said that they're all one Mazel apparently, Hanikroyim Mazel. Vital Yerbe, and everything comes out of them. Vehem Taluyas Bo, everything depends on them, but it's all completely hidden, and only by implication do we understand it. L'kaima Asvan Achronim. The reason why we have this detail is to understand that this is the place Kedei L'kaim Osios Shel Shem Havaya Acheros, in order to be able to sustain a different set of Yud-Kei Vav-Keis Shel Zer Anpin, which appear in Zer Anpin, and also later in Malchus Ayidei Osios Elyonos Shel Yud-Kei Vav-Kei that we're just talking about now. Hanichlalos B'Mazel, which are all in this the 613 combo, I guess. Mechlalos B'Mazel the Elyon Shel Erich Anpin. The Mali Lo Salik Elin Asvan Baratika Ki Im Elu Haosios Lo Hoya Olos Umushrashos Be'Erich Anpin, if there was not possible that they had a root there at that place. Venim Shachos Lamata Mazel, and then this Mazel collects them and brings that down. So this is the connection between the beard of Erich Anpin and its very strong identity with the Reish of the Lo Isida as a deposit there. So everything comes down to that Mazel, Lo Kaimin, Elin Achronim. So with these other ones, we're talking about the upper worlds, Abavi'im, and lower worlds, Al-Habadok, Lo Hoyachim Akaskaimim, Eloha Osios Achronos. So these final letters, Achronos, the final ones that goes to Zer Anpin, Shel Zer Anpin. Are we stopping here? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's okay. We'll see you later. Alligator. So I think we got to page Vav. And now we're introduced, we got introduced to this idea of the Mazla, which he's really talking about the number 6 Mazel. That's what it seems like to me. So he said, from Mahai Mazla, Mezeh HaMazel, he says, the Heinrich of Diktuni Notzer Chesed. It's a storehouse for Chesed. Also, the other one called Vanake. So he's saying the two of her together. Notzer Chesed Vanake. That's it. Hanikroim Mazel. Miskaspe Eloi V'Satoim. Mizbaishim. It embarrasses the goodness that is over there. Mektaragim, and starts to accuse Al Yoinim Ubalech Adina Tachtoinim. Now let me say Mizbaishim. That means they Mektargim, and they accuse, right? The Elyonim, that kind of concept. Miskafian Kameh. And as a result of that light that's in there, pulls together, abusha, because of the shame that they feel. So therefore they're humbled down before it, they lower their heads. V'nimtakim, and they become sweetened, mizbatlim, and nullified, called haktarogim, v'chadenim, all of these accusers, and all of these dinim. So happens a portion of person. Ashrei chelko shamisha zachal zeh because how did a person get to this level? Because of his prayers, v'kavanoisa, his kavanas, yamshe ka'aris Erich Anpin. This person, as we've been learning here, it's the hara that comes from Erich Anpin, b'shlosh eser tikuni dikna, into the beard of Erich Anpin, v'yara l'mat, and then it will shine downwards into Zer Anpin. So let's go on a little bit more. And I think I'm sorry?
Where are you?
Where was I? I thought I was on page Vav.
Oh, a little behind you. Okay.
I don't know. Am I mistaken? But I was getting lost. I'm tired, so I'm getting lost, But anyway, that's where I'm at. What do you think?
Where did it say Ashrei?
I'll go anyway because it's worth repeating no matter what it is. Begin kach. I thought I did begin kach. Amar Moshe, you remember this, the thing, didn't we have the piece where Moshe said Hashem, Hashem 2 times? So he said it once to stimulate Erich Anpin and the other to be manifest or to be stimulated in Zer Anpin. That was where we went. That's the last thing we did. So you want me to, should I start over here on Pevav?
Yeah, I think that's what we're up to.
Yeah. Well, that was where I was reading. So I could start again. So.
Here, I'm not. Oh, no. Fasting time to go by you. You were saying Ashrei. Where was that Ashrei you were reading?
An Ashrei? I don't know, man. I'm not good at going backwards.
No, I think we're on Hey Hey. We have to run Hey Hey, no? And then. Okay, fine. We're catching up. Fine.
Okay, well, I could do Pei Hey and I could do Begin Kaf.
That's fine. Fine. I got it. Okay.
So where am I now?
Wherever you are.
Okay, but Begin Kaf for this reason. Visha Osios. Let me see if I got this lined up right. Oh, there we go. Begin Kach with the Visha Osios Shem Havaya Shebezer Anpin. Teluyas Baosios Shem Kavaya Shebedikna de Erich Anpin. Now he says this is a little different the way I understood it before, but he says the osios that come through into the dikna of Erich Anpin, that's where you get the osios that we understand from Zer Anpin. So Moshe says like this, Kad Itzrich Hashem Hashem Trei Zimni. He said, L'chein, Kishahoya Shaz Din. Oh, we understand, B'cheda Egel, that time. B'hoya Tzarech L'Oira, and so that Moshe Rabbeinu had to arouse. 1 second. Okay, the Rachame of Erich Anpin. Hizker as Moshe Rabbeinu Shem Havaya. That's the part aroused from Erich Anpin. Shnei Pamim, he says Shnei Pamim. Kedei Lahamshek Ha'aras Osias Shem Kavaya, in order to shine down the letters of the name Havaya El Yoina Shel Erich Anpin El Osias Shem Kavaya HaTachtoina Shel Zer Anpin into there. Psik Taima. There's also Psik there. So he's a big Avaychu. So between the two, you would know that, I'm sure, that you would see that there's a line between the two. V'nosach v'tam, he says a nikra psik, it's called a tzik, which is like a line. L'hapsik b'neihem, in order to be able to separate them, to let you know that it's not. See, normally I would have thought it was the two sides of the head, something like that. So here he says it's not. Well, it could be both, but at any rate, lahapsik b'neihem, to interrupt them or to differentiate between them. Commotion emba v'yikra Hashem, and it calls like this Hashem. Then it says Hashem keil rachel v'chanim erukapayim v'rav chesed be'emes, etc. Kedei lahodia shehem shnei shemos havaya. That it's not one name Havaya. It's talking about Havaya and Erich Anpin. She'ein lecha b'shavim. They're not the same. El Hashem echad hu shel Erich Anpin. V'shem b'sheni hu shel Zer Anpin. And the second one goes with Zer Anpin. V'kavanasach l'hamshech ha'aras Havaya shel Erich Anpin. And what's the kavanah here? Is to bring the Havaya that's in Erich Anpin, the Havaya ha'tachtaina, into more physicality in the sense of Zer Anpin. Ha'tachtona shel Zer Anpin. V'chatam shehoya koich biyad Moshe. So how is it Moshe had this koich? Moshe Rabbeinu. L'chamshek ha'arach ad yoinech azos shel Erich Anpin. How could he get a hold of that ha'ara? D'cha b'mazla talya kula. Ki b'zeh ha'mazl, because in this mazl, this one, this number 16, 6 rather, this number 6, the Chayni Tikuni notzer chesed, but he also says, he keeps saying the same thing. It's one mazl, called notzer chesed and benake. Hanikroyim mazl. This is a question in my mind, how could that be? But it's okay, so he says that's what it is. Maybe because they're both kololim, and one is, and just like, Zochav, I don't know. I don't know the answer right now. The Chayni Tikuni notzer chesed. V'yanake hanikroyim mazl, which are called by the name mazl. Kol de besochim, kol shlosha, shlosh, Asar midas arachman, they have within them all of the 13 midas arachman shall Erich Anpin. Teluyim kol oirus Erich Anpin hanim shachem el Zer Anpin. So in this combo mazel, you have everything that's going to go to Zer Anpin. V'yidecha b'mazel dezecha b'hemshech Moshe Rabbeinu es ha'aras Erich Anpin el Zer Anpin, and through this Moshe Rabbeinu was able to do this. This is what he conceived there. Now, I'm reading Rabbi Memram's book regularly. I'm reading it, in 10-minute sections and learning it. It's just a little thing. And he says that the actual connection with Hashem is beyond logic. You can't use logic to be able to do this. So you have to be able to reach for something that you can't know. It's very interesting. I really like his book. It's much better than anything that I've seen so far. Okay, anyway, Mazal. Now, from this Mazal, there's the Mazal is the Hainu Tikuni Notze Chesed V'Nake. Okay, Hanekrayim Mazal. They the two of it. Nekrayim is plural, right? So they're called by the singular name Mazal. Miskasbe Eloi V'Satoi. Mizbayim. This was read before. As a result of the tremendous amount of chesed that's there, from everything that's coming up above Mizbayim, it causes the embarrassment of the hamak daragim, of the accusers, in other words, of all of the ugly things of hadin hatachtonim. So yonim b'adin hatachtonim. So okay, I'm always trying to think of where are there dinim in such a place, but it is true because the whole creation process is a din. So therefore, I guess it's always there. And they bow their heads down before it. They're humble before them talking. They become sweetened. And as a result, they cease to exist. That aspect of them, called that is who says that is the accusers, the accusations, and the dinim. So happy is the person. The portion who gets this. How did he get it? Because he prays all the time, because the Nosav, and he's directing his thoughts constantly. Here, Moshe Rabbeinu is such a tremendous picture of Erich Anpin. He's a V'aras Erich Anpin, in order to be able to glimpse that or try to pull that down B'shlosh Esrei Tikkunei Dikta into the Tikkunei Dikta. He's telling you the whole process here of the Erich of the Matab is Erich Anpin, and as a result of that, will ultimately wind up shining into Zeir Anpin. So here's another piece, and I think that takes a little slow walking in some places. So he says, Shirusa Datika, the beginning of Atika, which is Erich Anpin. He says, Hi, Atika Kadisha, Zer Atika Kadisha, Shuhu Erich Anpin, so this Atika Kadisha, Erich Anpin. Steam is called steaming, it's closed up more than closer. It's the secret within the secret. Lo idkar, ve'eno nizkar b'Torah, there's no place in the Torah that mentions it. Lo ishtakach ve'eno nimsech b'musa the partzufa b'tachtoina, there are no partzufim below that are able to reach it, to be able to have an inkling of what it is. Begin the ihu reishi law the koli loin levisha Erich Anpin. We understand Erich Anpin, who are rosha elyon the kol elyonim. So now I think that when he talks about this, he means the elyonim that are in the the parts of the Rosh of Etzilus. Lo idkir bar reish achada, but only mentions one. Einu nizkar v'nikar mikol partzufo, in all of his parts of rak rosh echad shalo, only one head. Shuha keser shel Erich Anpin, which is the crown of Erich Anpin. Below gufa, but it doesn't talk about its body. Beli haguf, without the body. Ki gufa shel Erich Anpin minagaram lamata. So this is really what he wants to say. For the Goran going downward, mislavish, miskasib, b'partzuf v'tachtoinim is all covered up. And so explains ki hatam sharosh nikerbo, and the reason why you can recognize that there's a head there, who rak is only, let me go a little bit more, l'kai makulo, is only to be able to sustain them all, to give life to all of them. Kedei l'kayim v'lahachios, as kol hapartzuf v'tachtoinim, is to bring life to everything that is down below it. How do they do that? Ayidei ha'aras is pashtos rosh Erich Anpin, because of the light that spreads out from the rosh of Erich Anpin. Now, the way that I'm looking at it is like what do they call it? The sea lights. What do they call it? They had those lights to warn you that there's no rocks around. So there are rocks around, rather. I forget what you call that. So at any rate, that's just like a beacon of light that's on the very top, but it's not covered by anything else. So my question is, if it's not covered by anything else, how is it able to be kedayim lahachios as kol partzuf v'tachtoinim? How does it do that? How does it transmit that light to them? Ayidei ha'aros is pashtos berosh Erich Anpin, because there's a glow and there's a radiance that's coming out of Erich Anpin. Ayidei kach hem nishrashim bo v'yesh lechem chiyus. So this talk about Erich Anpin. My question was really just about how the head connects to that. So also that the life force goes into the lower systems of light. Rosh Erich Anpin, through that Rosh again. Bekol Zos Ein Rosh Erich Anpin, but in any case, the Rosh of Erich Anpin, Shehu Rosh Elyon, which we calling now by the name the upper or the high Rosh, the called Elyon of all the high Roshim, Musag Klal. It's not not reachable at all. Nobody knows what it is. Ella, even though he's saying, I guess he's saying that it's bringing life to everything down below it, but we don't understand how that is working because we don't understand it, except it's working through the rest of Erich Anpin. V'hai, and this, Zeha Rosh al Erich Anpin, this Rosh, Tamir v'sasim v'gane b'kulo. It's more hidden than everything. Who soisef v'nistam v'ganos. I mean, these are all words of it's closed up and not available. Mikol yachas. It has no relationship to anything else. V'devekos ima partzum v'tachtonim, or any kind of clinging or attachment. That's the right word to the partzum v'tachtonim. Ki kol hanhagas ha'ola, because the whole way that the world we understand of the universe works. Ubriyasa in its creation, Eina ela Abba ve'ima. It's only, now you bring this in, it's only through Abba ve'ima, v'zer Anpin, through them as they come down. Avacho v'lo al yedei Erich Anpin, but Erich Anpin does not directly affect them. So she'ein l'natzala v'nivroyim chasaga bo kolal, because everything that comes after Erich Anpin has no idea really what's going on with Erich Anpin. Okay, so this is kind of like a disclaimer in the middle of this, and we're going to start getting deeper. Okay, I think that's it for today, right?
Yep.
Oh, got a little bit extra. Thank you so much. Huh? Yeah, Koto.